I know we're live, but like
No,
when
I
you
mean
start.
we started, dude.
Oh, oh shit. Hey.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
it. This is game time.
Okay. So,
So
weren't you gonna say? I was
yeah,
gonna say something. Yeah.
okay. So I told this ghost story to Josh earlier today.
There we go.
Um, it's a pretty spooky one.
Ooh.
So Saturday night, I was kind of sitting there in my bed, scrolling through Snopes, right? And I'm like, because fucking Ruana took off somewhere. So I'm like, we don't have a ghost anymore haunting our place. Might as well look another one up. And I come across this like story of this like family that's like fucking gets murdered and shit. And the very end, it's like if you don't send this to 5 people, these parents are gonna come and kill you. And I'm like, it's fucking 11:30 at night. I'm not gonna send it to 5 fucking people. Um, so I'm just like, I guess I'll deal with whatever pops up. And I scroll to the next one, and it's this ghost chick underneath a hospital bed, and it's like, you know, now that you've seen her, she's seen your soul. She's going to come get you within the next hour. And I'm like, well, this is awkward. She's going to have to get in fucking line because I got some ghost parents already coming to get my soul. And I'm sitting there laying in bed. I'm like, so basically in a fucking hour, these two ghosts are gonna come and fucking mitigate for my soul. Maybe I should be up for this. So I just jump on to Borderlands because I'm like, kill the time before the fucking ghost demons arrive. And it clicks in my brain. There's two ghost demons that want something from me, and I'm the only one that has it, and that means I've got negotiation powers. I'm like,
Based on demand.
I'm sitting there. I'm like, you know what? As soon as they arrive, I can be like, who's got the best offer? Like, I got what you want. Present to me. So, hey guys, if you ever get a demon trying to fucking grab your soul, immediately summon another one and be like, offer me something better.
Okay.
That's my tip to you guys. Oh, and
Okay. So.
as for how this turned out, I guess the ghosts were on fucking vacation. Because nobody showed up. Anyway, that's it. Spooky ghost story.
Okay, that's pretty fucking spooky. Welcome to My Brain is Hanging Upside Down. This is a podcast about music. Don't be fooled. It's a podcast about all music. Right now we're doing punk because that's what I know, but soon we'll do some other music. So, welcome. We've got Josh and Taylor on. Josh, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, Josh again, back for another podcast with Max, and this time we've got Taylor with us as well. Yeah, we're gonna talk about NOFX today, and I'm really excited because they were the first punk band that I fell in love with as a young skateboarder in the '90s, and man, I just can't tell you how excited I am, dude. I've spent a lot of years listening to their music, and I've seen them live, and I really dig this band. So, yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, me too. All right, Taylor, what's up with you?
Yeah, I am Taylor. I'm 30 years old. I live with my parents still because the median home price in my area is $750,000. And I've been listening to punk rock since I was an even younger skateboarder in the 90s, as the youngest cast member in this crew.
Is that really the median home price? That's fucking nuts.
It might be.
God, when I moved there, we bought a house for 530. Whatever. Okay. Um.
Yeah, that's a townhome now.
No. My old house.
No, his
My
not
old...
his house.
No, I mean a townhome is 530 now.
Yeah,
Oh. Okay.
this day and age.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like 5 years later.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. I'll introduce myself. I'm Max, or MaxMurder, whatever you want to fucking call me. MaxMurder. Max is good. I've been into punk rock since I was about 12 years old, and I am turning 40 this year. So it's been a long time. And as my friends' tastes changed in music, mine didn't. So I'm stuck. I'm stuck in the 90s, guys. But I love NOFX. I have loved NOFX for a long time. They're kind of a controversial band in punk rock, I think. That like, people either love or hate them. There's a lot of songs about drugs, which I think put off some people. That never put me off. But they're also, I wouldn't say they're the most like politically correct. They've gotten better, just like everyone has gotten better. But you know, we'll kind of go into that when we talk about their album White Trash, Two Heebs and a Bean, which we decided at the beginning of this podcast that we would refer to the album titles, but just as the album titles, because the alternative title for that was White Trash, Two Kikes, and a Spick, which their families apparently thought was too offensive.
Yeah.
But they put it in the liner notes anyways. But anyways, I'll start off with what we got, just the story of the band. They originally were an LA band, and they met, like, they kind of came together in '83 when they were like teenagers. There's kind of some I've heard differing stories about how they met up, but I guess the sort of like accepted one that I've heard is that Fat Mike and Erik Melvin, and that's Fat Mike Burkhart. He is known as Fat Mike, even though he's not that fat. Well, he's kind of fat now, but he went away to college, put on some weight, and they started calling him Fatty. So Fat Mike and Erik Melvin apparently went to Fairfax High. Mike had changed schools. He went to Beverly Hills High because his family lived in Beverly Hills, which is a much better school than Fairfax High. I won't get into the minutia of navigating school districts in the Los Angeles Unified School District because it's a fucking nightmare. But you know, they met in '83, started a band, and you know, they were like, "Oh, you listen to punk rock? I listen to punk rock. Oh, you like the Dead Boys? I like the Dead Boys. Okay, let's start a band." Neither of them knew how to play their instruments really well. Erik Melvin did know some guitar. His family was very artistic. His mom was an artist. And he did learn a little guitar at the Jewish Community Center, which is down the street from where I am right now. Yeah, I know. Crazy, right? I've been there too. It's a great community center. But you know, they started the band. Then they got what's his name? Eric. I can't remember his last. There's another Eric who plays drums,
I believe.
Eric, yeah. Yes. Thank you. We're gonna refer to him as Smelly for the rest of this podcast because that's his name. On everything.
So was it Eric? Was it Sandin or Erik Melvin?
Sandin. That's right. Yeah.
No, yeah. Was it Erik Sandin or Erik Melvin? So was it the drummer or the guitarist with the dreads that met Fat Mike when he was skateboarding? I think it was Melvin.
Melvin. It was Erik.
He was like skateboarding and he had like a Black Flag like customized like badass skateboard, and Erik Melvin had like built his own skateboard. This reminds me of your dad, Taylor. He like built his own skateboard out of like a cabinet and took some like tuna cans and put them on the tail, and like it was just like this whole like do it yourself, you know, type of skateboard, and that's how they started talking. From what I recall.
Yeah, that's what's in the book. Yeah, that's pretty much Melvin wanted to be badass and made a skateboard. And Mike had a this custom Black Flag deck. And they
Mike
started
sounds
talking.
Mike sounds pretty bougie for like back in the '80s, you know, living in Beverly Hills, has a nice skate deck.
he does. I mean, in the book, he does. Okay, this is not really the case anymore. But back like before '95, uh, there was the Beverly Hills that you know of, which is like north, and
Right.
then south was the flats, and that's the Beverly Hills where all the people who worked for everyone up north, like north of Sunset, uh, lived, and
Gotcha.
it was actually like quite affordable to live in Beverly Hills on the flats, and it was a great place to go. Also, if you wanted to get your kids into a good high school, because Beverly Hills High is really good. They even have, if you drive by it, they have a freaking oil oil pump.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they pump. They literally pump oil for extra money for the school.
Damn.
Yeah,
Damn, that's legit.
it's. I don't know if it's still in working order, but it's still there. It's this oil. It's this big oil like pump. But that's where, yeah, that's where Fatty went to school originally. I don't remember what his mom did. His dad was a traveling shoe salesman,
Yeah.
and I think his mom was like a manicurist. Um, uh, he does not have a lot of great things to say about his father, but he does have a lot of great things to say about his mother. She sounds like a great woman, especially when he talked to her about his BDSM
Right. His
proclivities.
fetish. Right.
Yeah. And she just listened and was like, "Yep, that's interesting." And then he also, when he got older, he realized why his mom had a mirror on her ceiling in her bedroom.
Right.
And now he has a mirror in his ceiling in his bedroom.
And he thinks about his mom every time.
I'm sure he does. He's a very, very, very interesting man. um, anyways, I'll get back to the band, the bio. So, you know, they started and they had a few guys kind of rotate in and out of the band. The core group basically remained Fat Mike, Erik Melvin, and Eric Sandin, aka Smelly, on drums. I'll just say that Mike and Melvin were the two Hebes, and Smelly was white trash, and we'll get to the bean in a second.
Yep. Can we talk about how Smelly got his nickname?
Yes, absolutely. You can go if you want.
Yeah, I can handle this one. So, I guess when you take a lot of acid, your farts smell, and Smelly was taking a lot of acid, and I think selling it at the time,
Yes,
and so he was farting on their first tour. He was like farting in the van, and it was just like this inhumane smell
Yeah.
from the acid. So that's how it started.
Yeah. Um. That yeah. I don't ever remember farting really bad when I took acid, but
I don't either.
I was
I-
never stuck in like a small like a van with people. So
It's
Yeah.
probably also a measure of quantity, you know? Because
yeah.
I've taken a lot of acid, but not really consecutively. I was smart about it, you know? 3 to 6 months in between.
I will say that there was a point that I was going to work in my 20s, and I would take half a tab before I went into work. I called it taking a little acid. The kids nowadays are calling it microdosing.
Yeah. I've heard that term.
Yeah.
The one and only time I've ever tried to microdose, I ended up just fully dosing because I was like, oh, I'll cut a little piece off with a razor blade and put that on my tongue. And oh, it's been 30 minutes. There's no noticeable effects, which is the point of microdosing. So I must need a little bit more. And next thing I know, I'm getting a haircut from my mom while I'm tripping balls, and she's inches from my face, staring straight at my big old dinner plate eyeballs.
That
This
must
is
have been scary.
This is a great like NOFX type story, honestly. um, I acid was the one thing that I was able to control, which
Yeah.
is crazy.
Same.
Yeah. But we'll get back on topic. So they had a couple of guys come in to play guitar to Erik Melvin's rhythm guitar. They had a few guys or a couple guys. Basically, I don't remember their last names. They were Steve and Dave.
Steve
And
was like the metalhead guy, right?
yeah, Steve was the guy who was super into metal, and his chapters in their biography are read by Jello Biafra, and they are hilarious.
Yeah.
The other one, Dave, are read by Tommy Chong, and everyone knows the joke. Dave's not here, man.
Yeah.
They really, I don't know, they got it down with that narration.
Yeah, they did.
But the rest of the chapters in the biography are read by the guys. It's broken up in chapter by like bandmate, and I'll just say that like going into it, I had read the book, but I hadn't listened to it, and it had been a long time, and I remember identifying way more with Melvin, but this time listening to it, I identified way more with Smelly.
Yeah, me too,
and
man. Big
yeah,
time.
they also dedicate, I say, like a lot more chapters to him. I think because his story is way more interesting.
He's got some great stories. I mean,
Yeah,
especially
Dude.
just like with the heroin addiction. Like, there's so many crazy like
yeah.
things that happen to him that are just so interesting.
I'll just say, as
For those of
someone
you
who-
that don't know what book we're talking about, it's called The Hepatitis Bathtub and Other Stories, written by NOFX, and they actually talk about the hepatitis
Hepatitis.
bathtub. Yeah, so
yeah. And that's
it's a great book.
that's an Eric Sandin story.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
that is a Smelly story.
Yeah. And just as a, I'll just say this: I was a heroin addict, not for as long as he was. He was 6 years on dope. They have a song called 6 Years on Dope. I spent about a year and a half on dope, and I gotta say, it's strange how many fucking crazy ass stories came from that year and a half. But his
Multiply that
stories
by
are
4.
yeah 6, yeah 4,
Yeah.
and you got some like he could have died, been in prison. One of his friends actually went to prison under his name, and he had gotten sober at that point, and he was at his parents' house, and they got a letter from like San Quentin or something, or Pelican Bay, like stating something about him being in prison, and it took him years to finally get that changed, but somehow a friend of his has like his fingerprints down as Eric Sandin.
That's
So,
squad
like-
goals right there.
Yeah, he could be fucked at any time. But yeah, I really like appreciated like his like getting sober and then staying sober in a band that is, one, like known for touring constantly, and two, known for doing tons of drugs. I watched this thing they did for Fuse. It was called Backstage Passport, and it was they decided that in like 2007 that they wanted to kind of recreate the old days and go to like some locations that they hadn't ever been to, and like do it kind of DIY punk style, because they've traveled the world, but they hadn't been to like some pretty sketchy places in South America and Asia, and like that documentary did not hold back. They got shots of fucking Mike doing lots of drugs and being handed, like, just going through like the throngs of fans. People like, Mike has a rule of not traveling with drugs, which is probably a good fucking idea, but it doesn't matter because people will just hand him whatever. And like the second season is a little bit later, and Mike is going through his divorce, and he is like falling apart. And then there's a scene where he's talking to Smelly, and Smelly's sitting there just like sober, like, whatever. And Mike is like, he's slurring his words, and he's like, I got a plan. I'm giving all the drugs to Jay, the drum tech, who's been with them for 20 some odd years.
Yeah.
And he's like, gonna give me enough drugs to get on stage, and then he's gonna give me more drugs after we're done, so I won't ruin the show. And Smelly's like, yeah, we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah.
Like, a dude's been sober for 20 some odd years at this point, and he kind of, I'm guessing he kind of knows where this is going.
Yeah,
But
probably.
his like sarcasm towards Mike's drug use is pretty good. I think now, so Erik Melvin now has been sober for a couple years actually, and Mike has gone back and forth. I know he detoxed off of like opiates. And started doing the thing, but then he's drinking again. I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah, he was posting, like, when he was getting sober, he was posting you know.
Actually put
Posting
together
about
maybe.
it is 100% the kiss of death, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, you post a picture of your chip. It's almost like getting your sobriety date tattooed on your arm.
Yeah.
Right.
You're just like inviting disaster. Fucking kids these days, man.
Why you gotta get it tattooed on your ball sack? You know, you can at least hide it from the light of day. If it's in your underwear, God can't see, and it doesn't count.
Mine's on my taint.
There you go.
If you do them enough, they start to look like hieroglyphics.
It's true. I've got like 3 of them on my taint. It's great. Anyways, we'll get back to the band. And I'll just, okay, so they went through a couple guitarists, and they even toured with Steve, who like really tried to bring some, like, I don't know, he was very proud of his musical pedigree.
Yeah.
And tried to bring some of that into the band, and these guys just did not give a fuck. And I think he was on S&M Airlines, which was produced by Brett Gurwitz from Epitaph and Bad Religion. So I'm gonna say that that's their first quote unquote good album, but I actually don't like it. It's too metal for me. I know a lot of diehard fans who actually say that's their best. I don't know, Josh. What do you think?
Well, no, I mean, because I want to say 2 things. One thing is, like, pretty much everything that they had released up until S&M Airlines,
Terrible.
it got compiled onto actually it was like Maximum Rock and Roll compilation, you know.
Yep.
And I think it was just a bunch of like LPs and like you know, just it wasn't great, you know. That was really before Mike and Erik Melvin had refined their incredible,
Yeah.
you know, talent. And they've
Now they have a great like
oh
play
yeah,
off each other.
they're incredible. But like in the early days when they didn't know how to play their instruments, and they tried to play punk rock,
Yeah.
it wasn't that great, you know. And
No.
they knew that. I mean, they were getting booed off stage, you know, for every show that they played. I don't know about booed off stage, but people weren't cheering, they weren't
No.
dancing, and many of the clubs that they were playing only had like a handful of people in them. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but I'll agree with you. That it was probably their first record, S&M Airlines, that people started to
Yeah.
like the band, you know?
Exactly. They had kind of, yeah. Melvin got better at guitar. Mike got better at bass, and I think that Brett. They had. I mean, they. I think their relationship with Mr. Brett was a little strained at times,
Yeah.
and Brett quit a lot and then showed up the next day.
Yep. I
Um,
remember him telling Mike that he wanted to harmonize the vocals,
yeah,
and
that's right. That's
and
right.
Mike said that, well, no, that's gonna make us sound like Bad Religion. He didn't want to do it, and they got into a few arguments over that, and uh, yeah, so there was some tension.
There's some tension, and the funny thing is like they did want to sound a little like Bad Religion, but not like totally.
Right.
So after S&M Airlines, I think Steve went off to his metal career.
His country metal career.
His country metal career.
Yeah.
He's a tattoo artist now, I think, in Northern California. And they started auditioning lead guitarists, and Mike. So I gotta say, Mike's perseverance through this whole thing is what kept the band together. Like, he really, like, not only did he book and promote all the shows to himself, he started to get better at his music. He like came up, the way they auditioned a lead guitarist was great. He had people come in and play an unplugged electric guitar. So they didn't have any distortion to hide their bad shit. Like, they really wanted to hire someone good. And Aaron Abeta, aka El Hefe, but El Hefe with an H, because apparently Aaron Abeta speaks Spanish like as good as Mike, or not even that good, even though he's he's Mexican. They auditioned a guy that Erik Melvin brought in, and then right after that they auditioned Aaron Abeta, aka El Hefe, and the guy that went in before him was like so thrown off by the fact that it was a guitar that wasn't plugged in. He miffed it, and then so El Hefe comes in, and he is Eric Sandin brought him in because he was kind of running with Sandin's like little like gangish kind of thing.
Yeah,
and we'll get into
the boozers.
dog,
what were they called?
Dog Patch Crew or something.
The winos. The Dog Patch Wino. Yeah.
Dog Patch Winos. Yeah. So if anybody listened to our first episode, we talked about the scene in Berkeley. The scene in LA at the same time was like miles apart. Like, it was a bunch of white dudes beating the shit out of each other. And there were like literal gangs, like organized crime gangs in the punk scene, which I can't even fucking imagine. It was very different than Berkeley. But yeah, El Hefe, like, he starts his chapters in the book, their biography, with "I'm not a punk," and he was playing in a funk rock fusion band at the time called Mystic something. Do you remember?
Mystic
what
Circle.
It was? Mystic Circle.
Or no, Crystal
something.
Crystal Circle or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he had learned the songs, but like he had to kind of teach himself how to play poorly.
Yeah, he had to unlearn how to play like technical, all the theory that he had learned. I mean, he had taken lessons. He went to school for music, and so he had like this way of thinking about his guitar playing that he had to completely unlearn to play punk music.
Yeah, he played he plays the trumpet and the trombone. Dude is fucking talented. And he came in and just wowed Mike. So Mike was like, "You're hired," like on the spot. And El Hefe had no fucking clue what he was getting into. I think Mike described him coming in looking crazy. He was wearing these really like hiked up Dickies, like a cholo bato or whatever, and a fedora and a pompadour under that fedora, and a big chain on it for his wallet. And Mike was kind of like, "Who is this guy?"
So the thing I love about El Hefe is, so like, he comes in, he nails the audition, Mike hires him, and he's clearly not a punk, right? He has zero, like, he did not listen to punk music growing up, you know, and they bring him on tour, and the first 5 or 6 shows, they just sit there and like make fun of him, and he was like kind of getting pissed about it. Like, he got spit on by a punk too, and was like, didn't understand that like this is how the punk scene is, right? And that's kind of where El Jefe like stood up for himself one night and started making fun of Mike. And that's where the banter started. I don't know if you've ever been to a NoFX show, but dude, it is fucking hilarious. Like
it's
in
great.
between songs, they sit there and they put on, it's like a comedy show. I mean, they fuck with each other, they fuck with the crowd, and that's what I love so much about their chemistry on stage. It's amazing. If you ever get the chance to see him.
Yeah. Taylor, you ever seen NoFX live?
I have not, and I
Oh,
regret
man.
that already.
Watch some YouTube videos. Okay, so this is one of the reasons they're sort of a controversial thing in the punk rock scene, is they are the kings of crowd baiting. Like, they talk shit to everybody. They talk shit to themselves. They talk shit to the fucking crowd, and like, I mean, even listen to their live albums. They've got 2 of them.
Yeah.
And actually, I heard They Suck
I heard
Live
this Suck Live.
is a classic. Like, it is a literal classic. And then their second one is
I think they've gotten worse live.
Yeah.
I heard they got worse live or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And like they just man, I saw them the first time I saw them I was 15. It was at the Phoenix Theater in Petaluma, and it ended in a fucking riot. Like literal riot, cuz Mike started it by taking his mic stand and hitting a skinhead in the head. And then like this was like, I think they were pretty far into their set, and I was in the pit, and I used to wear just these white like Hanes t-shirts. I'd buy packages of them, and that's what I'd wear. And I was wearing one of those, and I got punched in the nose, and my nose was bleeding, and I took my shirt off and threw it at Mike, and he looks at it and he says, "I hope someone's daddy's a doctor." And I went shirtless for the next like bit, and then I left to go buy a shirt at the merch stand because I was tired of being shirtless, and that's when I came in, and like shit started to get rowdy, and the skinheads that were there, which like this still boggles my mind that like racist skinheads show up to shows that they have no place, like no right being at. And they still show up at NOFX shows. And I don't know if it's because they want to start shit, but like they have like a racist skinhead following, and 2 of the guys in the band are Jewish, and one of them is Mexican.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
I don't know. It's crazy,
They
man.
even have a song called "Don't Call Me White."
Yeah.
And if you're expecting quality critical thinking out of racist skinheads, you're barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, the mic stand incident happened, and then it turned into a brawl, and then it got out on the street, and I remember I had a friend who was a bouncer there, and he was this big dude, like probably almost 7 feet tall. I saw him pick up a skinhead and throw him on the like a windshield of a car. It was like a WWE wrestling move. It was probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And yeah, that was my first like real riot. I experienced like another one after that, but that was like the cops came, and we cheesed it down an alley because we knew the area, and like all the skinheads, like cars were beaten in, and the skinheads, like really, like real punks outnumbered the skinheads like by a lot, so they didn't have much of a chance. But yeah, that was a fucking crazy show, and yeah, the fucking banter, they've got like a comedy fucking set going. It's great.
Yeah, it's so great.
And I know, and it's funny, Mike. There's there is kind of a theme that goes through their shows, because Mike hates being spit on, which means that everyone fucking spits on him.
Right.
Because he did it on an album, like on their fucking live album, their first live album. He's like, "Don't spit on me, I fucking hate it." So what are people gonna do? They're gonna spit on him every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, especially people who are at a punk rock show. Like you're
gonna be contrary.
Yeah. Defiant to the core.
Yeah. So yeah, I love that story of how about like El Hefe sort of standing up for himself, and that's how they got the banter going between three of them, Melvin, Mike, and Hefe. Like they just like Hefe gave as good as he got, and they were like, all right. And then there was a couple of shows that I remember him talking about that like he was like, I don't know if I know these songs very well, and they were like, it does not matter.
Yeah, it's punk rock, dude. It doesn't matter. You can mess
Yeah,
up.
like just play it. Like we don't care. Nobody's gonna notice.
And it like went completely against everything that, you know, all the theory and all the practicing and like, you know, his whole musical upbringing is just like it's completely opposite of what he's used to.
He was appalled. Just appalled.
That level of banter you guys are talking about that they do at live shows reminds me of a band called Masked Intruder. And
Yes, they're very okay. They are very much like Masked Intruder like took that banter from NOFX. I lifted
definitely.
it.
But
Yeah.
one thing that I love they do is they'll also bait you into thinking they're about to do some banter, and then they just
Yes.
pull the rug out from under you and start playing the music. Like
Nice.
my best example of it is like the lead singer steps up to the mic after a song ends and he's like, "This next song is called Unrequited Love, and the story behind it is that it's about unrequited love," and they just immediately started playing.
Nice.
Yes. Taylor, were you there with me and Joe when we
Yeah.
put on the masks? Okay, that was us.
Yes.
Were you
I
there,
still have
Josh?
that mask.
I still have mine. Okay, so we went. This is just an offshoot. I'll just do it real quick. So we went to a Masked Intruder, or it was a another show, but they were opening.
Yeah, I
And
think it was
we-
Red City Radio, maybe.
No, I
No,
think
that
it
was
actually
with Brian.
Yeah, this was the Interrupters.
Yeah.
And we brought so Masked Intruder doesn't take off their ski masks ever, and they're different colors. So Joe bought us all masks,
Nice.
and we put them on during the set. and we didn't even dance. We just sat there in a line with the masks on.
Yep.
That was fun. They're a great band. Everyone should listen to them. So back to the band that we're talking about. NOFX isn't as clever as that. They just talk shit. But like, you know, in the history of the band, so the first thing that they recorded with Hefe was called The Longest Line, and it's actually a really good EP. I think people should listen to it. It's they are developing their sound, but it is really good. It is one of my favorites, aside from Punk and Drublick, and The Decline, which we'll get to in a second. But after The Longest Line, they did White Trash, Two Heebs and a Bean, which has some fucking classics on it. Bob being one of them.
Yeah, Sticking in My Eye.
Sticking in My Eye. Oh, great song.
They got a music video for that too, which, by the way, when I first saw that music video, it was like years after it had been made, and I still had this image of Fat Mike being fat in my mind, and then I saw the Stick It in My Eye music video, and I'm like, who's this little punk kid singing here? You know, like he's so small in that video.
I know, right?
It's crazy.
He's not. So the story behind Fat Mike's name is that he went to college in San Francisco. He studied psychology, psychology with a minor in human sexuality.
Yeah.
Which matches perfectly with him.
Yeah.
His personality. And I guess he put on like a college, like a freshman 30 to 60, depending on who you talk to. And he came back and like someone was like, "Yeah, your name's Fat Mike now." And it really stuck.
Yeah, it stuck.
Yeah. And they kind of, it's interesting. Mike didn't really move back to LA. They became like this disparate band, LA and San Francisco. And when they'd tour, they'd get together and tour, but like they didn't really practice that a lot.
Right.
And this is one of the reasons like Smelly was able to just like fuck off on his own and like do terrible things without anybody knowing, because the band was so like spread out. But yeah, after White Trash, Two Heebs and a Bean, which I'm gonna say this on air, and I'm talking about the name of an album, so please don't give me too much shit. The original title was White Trash, Two Kikes, and a Spick, which is almost the makeup of this podcast.
Almost. It's not far
Almost.
off.
Yeah.
I mean, my family's from Louisiana, so I got the last one close to covered.
Almost there. I'm Jewish. Kirby is not, and neither is Josh. But
Well, I'm from Montana, so
okay,
I know all
so we
about
got
them white trash.
we got the white trash down.
Yeah.
Josh, you get to convert.
Okay. I mean, if you saw my front
Congratulations.
yard, you would agree that I'm pretty white trash too. So
Well, he's saying you get to be one of the chosen people now. You should be honored.
You should be honored. Absolutely. It's a big tent. Come on. So yeah, that's when they really White Trash Tubes and a Bean, great album, and they really found their sound, and they really found their songwriting. I think Fact Mike really became like a good songwriter there. Even whatever he likes to, he doesn't like he downplays his talent a lot, and he even about his songs, he'll be like, there was no structure, there was no chorus, blah blah blah. But seriously, Bob's a great song, even if there isn't a chorus. I don't care.
yeah.
Like, or maybe he'll be like, I think he even there's a song called please play this song. That's on the White Trash Sheebs and a Bean. Please play this song on the radio.
Yeah.
And like he even calls out like, this is the bridge.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that song. That's a great song.
My standout on that album is surprisingly Liza and Louise.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that I always keep going back to.
That's about the
chorus.
lesbians?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The chorus is so strong, and like the chord progression is just and mixed with the drums is like just the peak sound of just that wall of noise coming at you.
Absolutely. That's a good point. And it's funny. Josh pinged me about what's that song on Punk and Drublic with the chip where the
Lori Myers.
Lori Myers. And I said something about a woman, and he was like, "Is that who sang the female part?" And Lori Myers was like, "No, that was Hefe." Any of the voices, any fucking voice that isn't like a normal voice, even the female ones, is Hefe.
Nice.
Man, he nails it on that song, man.
He really does, because that's one of my standouts on that album.
Yeah, I love that song.
He's like, his voices. If you listen all the way to the end on Punk and Drublic, like he does his voices, and it's great. So after White Trash, Two Heebs and a Bean, they came out with their most successful album to date, which was Punk and Drublic, and it's still a classic. It's become a classic punk rock album. On the 25th anniversary, they did a thing, and I mean, there are just so many songs on it. We're going to discuss some songs in a second, but and we're not going to go too deep into their later stuff. We're just going to kind of talk about. We're gonna get to So Long and Thanks for All the Shoes, which is actually a label on the on our Twitch stream right now. But we're not going to really get into too much of their later stuff. It's good. Go listen to it. But this is their heyday, was the 90s and like early 2000s. So they released Punk and Drublic, and it kicks off with one of their best and most classic songs ever, Linoleum, which again isn't a song that has a lot of structure. And even actually, I think now, I don't know how long ago they put this out, but they put this video out, which is called like Linoleum or something.
Yeah, they like remade it. They did a cover of their own song.
Yeah, but with Avenged Sevenfold, who are just like way better musicians than them.
Yeah.
And the video is funny because like Hefe's like looking at this guy doing, he's like tapping, and he's like, "What?" And they changed the words. They're like, "We're putting linoleum out to stud."
Yeah. Dude, the lyrics of Linoleum are classic.
They're pretty good. It's been covered so many times. I've covered it. I think it's even after that, it's still being covered constantly. And like it had also this classic fucking, I guess, in my group of friends, there was a guy named Cassidy. I'm gonna throw a shout out to Cassidy. I won't say his last name because but he was the only other Jew in our in our high school and two in our group of friends, and The Bruise was like our fucking anthem. We'd play that over and over again just to annoy people, and we'd sing it and shit. And like we'd be in class, and then like one of us would start singing it, and the other one would start singing it too, and then like we'd stand up. I didn't graduate high school, by the way. We'd stand up and start fucking pushing each other and singing it and shit
Nice.
in mid class. But yeah, it's just like okay. In the outline I wrote, I legit like every song in this album except "My Heart Is Yearning." I just don't like that song. It's gross.
Yeah, I agree on that one.
Kind of about ejaculating on your toes on the beach, which is kind of a weird thing.
I mean, because we've all been there. It's just it's not a place you want to go back to all
Right.
that often.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Wait. Someone. Crook, did you just text like hit me up in
Yeah, I sent you a
Discord?
message. Now it's like super
Okay.
awkward.
I can't see it. Just say what you said.
It's we're at the 40-minute mark.
40-minute mark. Okay, that's good. That's a great point to start just going into the music. Taylor, Josh, you guys are bass players. What do you think about Fat Mike?
Oh, I think he's I think that he's incredible because his vocals, like he's a singing bass player. I am not a singing bass player. I've tried to
That's
sing
not.
and play bass,
Yeah, it's hard.
and
People don't do
it's
it.
it's really hard. And he also plays with a pick, which is something different for me. I play with my fingers.
He only down picks too. He doesn't even
Yeah,
like. Yeah.
and his parts while singing aren't always very simple. There's quite a few songs off of which I know we haven't gotten to this album yet, but So Long and Thanks for All the Shoes, where he's playing some pretty complicated riffs,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and he's singing, and it's just that I think is the core of his talent. I mean, he's
And
really really good at that, and writing songs, obviously.
and on top of that, which to the point you were just making, like he's singing and playing complicated riffs, and it's not even that he's singing while playing the same riff. He's changing the riff changes while he's singing, and it's not
Yeah.
even at a good stopping point in the lyrics or the melody that he's singing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have so uh actually in this room, I'm in a room where I used to live. It's below my aunt's house right now. I'm in LA. In this room, a friend of mine left a bass here,
Nice.
and I taught myself how to play linoleum. And actually, for a guitar player, it wasn't that hard. Like, especially for a punk rock guitar player, like it's kind of all over the place, but like he plays bass like a guitarist. So
Yeah.
like I was able to pick up and like down picking. I mean, I was playing Ramon songs at the time, and all Johnny Ramone does is down. So that wasn't hard either, and four strings made it even easier. So like I think it's an interesting thing. I think he plays his bass like a guitar player. He's self-taught, so like he just kind of, and I love his fucking bass riffs. Like he's just like you said, like he'll switch up while he's singing, which is like not even easy for a guitar player. Like
The other thing is like the triplets that he hits.
oh yeah, oh
Like
god,
on Kids of the K-hole, for example, like the opening riff of that, it's like it's really, really fucking fast. That is
oh,
that takes a
oh,
lot of
plays-
practice.
oh
And
yeah.
again, I mean that just speaks to his bass playing. He's great.
Yeah, I see. The other thing is like, I was playing these Ramon songs when I was learning guitar, and like, in order to play them at any sort of like reasonable sounding good, you got to play them way faster than they are in the albums.
Yeah.
And in live they play way faster. Mike just plays fast, like off, just
Yeah,
straight
off
up
the rip. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and I love that. And actually, so since we've been doing this podcast, I've been listening to a lot of stuff and listening to it way more with like an ear to like music and like musicianship. And like all four of those guys have like pretty amazing talent for a band that continually like just they're always fucked up, except for Eric Sandin. They're like constantly talking about how much they suck, but they're really good. Like,
Dude, they're so good. And you
like
can hear that in their sound, like when they switched labels, when they got onto Epitaph, like you can actually hear the change
oh
in their
yeah,
sound, dude. And I agree with you, man. Like what I've been listening to a lot of music over the past couple weeks too, also since doing this podcast, and I've especially enjoyed listening to a shitload of NoFX this
yeah, me
past couple
too.
weeks. But dude, Smelly is amazing.
He's great.
Dude, he's so good. Like
He's
you've
an
got the punk,
underrated. Yeah,
yeah, you've got like the punk kicks and the fast beats, but then he'll like if you just listen to his drums, he throws in these crazy like cymbal change ups, right in
yeah.
the middle of a verse, and it's just it's very intricate and complicated. Like if you were to try to um
I
write
can't
that
do it.
out, like you
Yeah,
wouldn't it would take a long time.
yeah.
It's hard to
And
replicate that sound and that stuff.
and Melvin is a great rhythm guitarist, and Hefe is a great lead guitarist. Like, and they play off each other so well. Those four guys are like, are they are tight. Like, I don't care what anyone says. They are a fucking tight band, and Melvin talks about it. Like, even on drugs, like he had to actually get off drugs and relearn how to play drums.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
like, he just he was always the solid member of the band pretty much until Hefe, and even after Hefe he was the guy who kept everything together. Him and Mike too. And Mike has this business acumen that he started his own label and made a lot of money. um, so we'll jump into So Long and Thanks for All the Shoes, because again it's a great album. Oh, sorry about that. It's a great album. uh, Kids of the K-Hole kicks off at that. I'm Telling Tim. And I'm Telling Tim relates back to our first episode about it's not Tim Armstrong. It's Tim what's his face from
Tim
Max.
from the
Yeah,
Maximum Rock and Roll. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's what he means by I'm Telling Tim.
Yeah, I didn't
Um,
realize that until we did the podcast on
on
Operation
on
Avi or Rancid, I think it
yeah,
was. Yeah.
yeah. So like everyone thought, so the line goes, if it's not DIY, I'm Telling Tim.
Yeah.
And everyone thought that was Tim Armstrong, but no, it was the Tim from Maximum Rock and Roll at Gilman Street.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah,
It all makes sense now.
it all comes together. Yeah, because that guy, if he didn't do it DIY, he'd fucking rip you a new one in his magazine. um, but yeah, that's a great song. After that came Pump Up the Volume, which is kind of where I kind of end. I haven't listened to any of their new stuff. That like, um, Franco Un-American was a single they did that was really great. It had great political commentary. Fat Mike did Punk Voter, which was he wanted to kind of change. He hated George Bush and wanted to get his feet wet in politics, and it worked out kind of, but none of his candidates got elected. um,
Yeah, there were some
but
pretty good songs on the War for Errorism. That was the one with the funny George Bush face on the cover. I remember because I had just graduated high school, and I was still like every time NoFX would drop a new album, I was still picking it
yeah.
up. Whoops, I OD'd was a really good song
Oh,
too.
that was a really good song too. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Whoops, I OD'd. And I just want to. There's one song I want to mention that's on their newest album, which is I'm drawing a blank on it, but um,
Single album?
what's that?
Is it called
Not the
single
single
album?
Their newest like actual album. First Ditch Effort. That's what it's called. Um, there's a song on it called "I'm So Sorry, Tony," and it's about Tony Sly. who we'll talk about in another podcast. But Tony Sly from No Use for a Name OD'd on pills, and it was extremely sad. He had just talked to his daughter. He was on tour and went to sleep and never woke up.
Mm.
And that song, I listened to it, and it still kind of makes me cry. And his daughter, they got his daughter to sing on it, and it's just actually Mike's daughter and Tony's daughter sing on it, and it's powerful, man. And it speaks to like how good of a guy Tony Sly was, because a lot of people died in the scene, and like as all four of us know, people die that we know, and it was the same for punk rock. And the fact that Mike was so affected to write a song called, and it was originally called "I'm Sorry, Tony," and they changed it to "I'm So Sorry, Tony," because he felt bad that he couldn't help him get out of his thing. So that's a new song that they wrote, and I listened to it. It's powerful. But let's just like quickly talk about a few songs. Actually, no. Let's talk about one song because I think it's worth just talking about it before the end of this. The Decline. So after So Long and Thanks for All the Fish, they released this. I don't even know what to fucking call it. They call it a punk rock opera now. It's an 18-minute long song. Really, it's about 6 songs that just don't have a break.
Yeah.
But The Decline is amazing. I love that song. And they play it straight through 18 minutes. And I've seen them play it live. There's a video of them doing it with a full orchestra.
Yeah, I started watching that. Yeah.
Oh god, it's so good. And I mean, the way they open it, I love it. It's like, we've got fucking bassoons.
Is that a bassoon?
Yeah. It's Bad Religion and bassoons. Fuck Bad Religion.
Yeah.
They're like, and that again, that's like, it's a testament to their fucking just banter. Like the band that they admire most, they will just fucking rip on.
Yeah.
Did Bad Religion have fucking bassoons? So The Decline, it's a political song too, which I love. The lyrics to it are just amazing, and again, the musicianship is great. I did see them play it live once. It was at a festival. They don't do it that, because it's an 18-minute long song, so that's not really in their set list.
Right.
But, it's just amazing. It's just like, I don't know, Nick or Taylor. What do you think about it?
I actually have not listened to it.
Oh,
I somehow missed that part. But the fun part is my commute to work in the mornings is between 18 and 19 minutes on average.
There you go.
So that
listen,
is going to be the new go-to, because I remember when I was in college, my commute to the campus was the exact length of Rush's 2112. So I would force my then fiance and roommate to listen to it every morning.
This is a punk rock podcast until we get into other music. Don't mention Rush.
Okay. When it's time for that, I will have more words to say.
I don't want to hear the interesting intricacies of Rush. God damn it.
Speaking of punk rock, I don't want to know when we're at the 40-minute mark. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, speaking of punk rock, I'm going to talk about Rush more now.
Yeah, that's the punk rock thing to do.
That would be the punk rock thing to do.
As long as we're talking about singing bass players.
No, we're not talking about that guy. I'm not going to say his name.
That guy.
That guy. Okay, so The Decline was awesome. Have you listened to Bob Taylor?
I have listened to Bob.
Okay. I love that song. It's just great. It's about a guy they knew, I guess.
Yeah.
But and then the Brews. What do you think about the Brews, guys?
Oi, oi, oi.
Oi, oi. We're the Brews. Orthodox, Hasidic, OG, oys. Oi, oi, oi. We're the Brews. Punk rock, Hasidic. Wait, how does it go? Now I can't remember. Fuck, you put me in the spot and I can't do it.
I mean, you put you on the spot.
And then Hefe jumps in and he says, "Hey, one more time for Herschel."
Yeah.
And then it goes into this breakdown of oi, oi, oi. I love that song. And then Linoleum. We've talked a little bit about it, but like, that's the perfect punk rock song. My closest friend, Linoleum.
Yeah.
Like that
Supports my head.
I
Supports
love
my-
the metal meter part where he's like digging in the sand with the metal meter.
Oh, I
Mhm.
know.
That's my
Like
favorite
that's
lyric of that.
me on the sand.
Yeah.
That's me on the back of the bus, singing gibberish. That's me on the street with a violin under my chin. Yeah, I'm.
Singing gibberish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The live version is singing
Singing
GBH.
GBH, yeah.
Yep.
I was gonna say that. They probably play it so much he's gotta swap up the lyrics from time to time.
Oh yeah, they do that a lot.
Yeah.
And then I've got written down as to talk about Perfect Government, which actually wasn't written by them. But it's a great song. I love that song. Also, there's a song on there called The Dig. And there's one before we end, I just want to talk about the transition on The Dig. Like there's one thing I love in music, it's a key change.
Mhm.
And The Dig has the perfect fucking key change in the middle of the song.
Yeah.
And it's a quick song. It's fast, it's punk, but then they switch it up to a different key. And
Yeah, dude, that's really cool. I like how they do that too.
And they do that a lot. And they do another thing, and there's a name for it, where with the lyrics, where Mike will say a word, and he's referring to something beforehand, and then transition that same word into something going through.
Yes. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. There's an English term for it, and I'm really pissed that Dr. Nick is not on the show to tell us what it is. But there's an actual term for it where he'll just like, and I'm trying to think of an example, and I can't off the top of my head. He does it a lot on So Long, Thanks for All the Fish. He does it a lot on Punk and Drublic, where he'll like the lyrics will go, he'll say a word, but then he'll turn the meaning of the word upside down.
Doesn't he also do that on that song we talked about earlier? Like play this on the radio. I think
he does. He does it a lot on that.
Yeah.
And again, it's a testament to his songwriting. Like, I think that this is an example of a band that, like, they have one guy who's musically trained, the rest of them are all self-taught, and the mix of all that, like, brings together this like unconventional awesomeness.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Mike's bass playing is unconventional. Nobody plays bass like Mike.
Yeah.
And like we talked about Matt Friedman on the last one, nobody plays bass like him either. But like, I gotta say, like, people try to emulate Matt. People don't try to emulate Mike at all, because it's too
hard.
It's too hard. And if you're a bass player, it's too counterintuitive to your bass playing.
Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. That's
'Cause
what I was
he's,
trying to articulate earlier, like when we were talking about how he plays with a pick and
Yeah.
sings and the triplets and everything. Like it's all counterintuitive to the way that I am used to playing my instrument, you know?
Absolutely. Taylor, do you play with a pick or you play with your fingers?
I go back and forth depending on, what I'm
Okay.
doing and the state of my fingers at any given moment. But just the way that he plays bass reminds me of the way I used to play Guitar Hero as a kid. Just
There it
like
is.
only down strums.
Yep.
And it's like just it's like clicking. It's like my wrist becomes a machine and I'm just going through the motions almost. And it's just so unnatural feeling.
Oh, I know. And that's the thing. That's the funny thing. It's actually really natural for a punk guitarist. So like,
Right.
picking up a bass and starting to learn Linoleum was not like super hard for me. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know. It's a weird thing. But yeah, I think we're basically out of time. I'll just add one thing. Mike's sexuality is fucking awesome. I am not into anything that he's into, except one thing, and I'm gonna say this on a podcast. I love wearing a dress. I don't care who fucking hears this. I don't care. I don't fucking care. I love
I
a
thought
dress.
you were gonna be like, I love using a butt plug. I was like,
I've got one in right now. No, Taylor might be into that, but
I mean, that is where my G spot is. So
yeah. Well, it's interesting. So he talks about it in the book. So his last taboo was actually cross-dressing. He goes through so much fucking other hardcore shit, but cross-dressing was the thing that he like because of, and this is it's the masculinity of the LA scene that was like, you can't be a sissy. Whereas like in the Gilman Street scene, anyone could fucking wear a dress and nobody would have cared. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it was such a different scene and a different outlook on things. But like now he plays, if you watch any of his live stuff, he likes to play in a slip. I don't know what he's wearing under it. Either woman's underwear or nothing. And he regularly has nipple clamps on, depending on what his new wife, who is a dominatrix, tells him to do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, so we are at the hour mark now.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. I think it's a good place to wrap it up on Mike's sexuality. If you guys see me in a dress at any time, talk as much shit as you want. I am gonna be comfortable.
No, you're good in my book, dude. Wear what you want.
Yeah. I cannot remember the fucking keywords. My brain is not working. But I'm gonna throw it to Crook with some shout outs. Before that, I want to say one thing. Again, I said this on I think the first podcast. Punk rock is being a 15-year-old Jewish kid who doesn't like watching Hail Hitler's in the pit and having a community behind him to help him kick ass. That's punk rock. So I'll throw it to Crook.
All right, here's Crook's shameless shout out corner. All right, first of all, if you guys enjoyed today's episode, you can find it here. That is upsidedownbrain.buzzsprout.com. It will be posted there next week, next Friday to be exact. If you want to see all our videos that are unedited, you can find that here at our YouTube page. And that is Crook Irish Studios. Just Google that and you'll find us.
Yep.
That's CROOKIRISH.
Studios.
Studios. The other thing is, we just dropped a new episode of the Stone Gauntlet, and you can find that here. That is at thestonegauntlet.buzzsprout.com. You can also find that video on our YouTube channel. A couple shout outs to our mods and our production assistants. That is OGT Nasty. He is a fellow streamer here on Twitch. Go shoot him a follow. I totally typed that in wrong. Give me 1 second.
While you're typing that in, I just want to do another shout out. Never mind. Actually, it's a terrible shout out. I can't even remember.
All right. Well, let me finish. Let me finish this, and then we could do that.
Yeah.
The other one is Artrix. That is ARTYX_, and that's it. But go check her out. She will be streaming in 2030 on January 6th. And then finally, a shout out to the little girl in DC who tried to give me a McDonald's sandwich because I dress like a hobo. We appreciate. I'm sorry.
I said shout out.
Shout out, yeah. We appreciate your kindness in this world. Keep doing that. With that being said, I'm gonna turn it back over to Max.
Yeah. All right. So I just want to say that y'all should listen to the Stone Gauntlet. That's our other podcast. We alternate each week. It's pretty fucking awesome. I want to thank Josh. I want to thank Taylor. I want to thank Crook Irish. You guys are great. And I'm gonna sign off. Stay obsessed. What was yours, Josh?
I don't know. I gotta rewatch last episode.
Fuck. All right, it's fine. Taylor, you got a good sign off?
Yeah, keep it wet.
Yeah, I like that one. All right, so that's NOFX, guys. We might revisit this subject another time to do more of their new stuff. But for now, I think the next episode might be No Use for a Name. I know you guys might not be familiar with it, but I'm gonna get you familiar with it. They're a great punk band. They're a great pop punk band. And unfortunately, Tony Sly died in 2011. And we'll talk a little bit about that, but that will be our next episode.
I just want to say that was the most awkward fucking sign off I've ever heard.
I know.
Good job, guys.
Okay. I'll do mine again. No. You know what? I'm gonna stick to the punk rock thing. Punk rock is being a Jewish kid and having a community to have your back and beat the shit out of Nazis. That's punk rock. That's my